Hey guys, how's it going? On today's video, we're going to install Garagistic's MTech 1 kit on my BMW E30. So we have almost their full kit here, everything except for the side skirts. We have front valence, which comes with the fog lights. We have the rear valence and the spoiler. I didn't get the side skirts because I went with OEM ones, which have the arch right here. I like the aesthetic of that. The Garagistic ones don't have the arch, so they just go straight across. Still look good. And I also got some factory hardware from Classic Euro Parts. So I got their front and their rear MTech 1 hardware kits. The front valence and rear valence do come with a little bit of hardware, but I just wanted to have all the OEM bits. Biggest thing with MTech 1 kit installation is you must have Euro bumpers. They won't work with your late model bumpers or your US OEM bumpers. So these are Classic Euro Parts new Euro bumpers. If you guys haven't seen that video, you guys can also check it out right there. That is what you need before you can install the kit. Let's go ahead and get it installed. I'm gonna start with the spoiler, and then we'll move on to the front bumper and the rear bumper. So starting with the spoiler here, this is the included hardware. It only has 4 drilled out. So you have your 2 on this side and then you have the 2 on the other end. If you already have like a IS spoiler on your E30, that means you would already have all of these mounting holes. I wish that the original manufacturer, that obviously made in Taiwan, would have included studs. These are rib nuts on the end. So if you don't have holes, you'd have to drill 1 on the far end and then 1 on the inside. I'd recommend just drilling the inside holes and not the outside ones, so that you could still run a nice layer of either double-sided stick tape or some sort of foam to keep this all nice and watertight. But if you have a IS trunk already that would have the spoiler, ES or IS, you already have the holes. These inside holes don't line up perfectly. So what you could do is just open up the hole slightly and you should be able to get the 2 on the outside in. And then you're given all this extra hardware, but it's so thin that you'd be risking going through the actual spoiler to even install it. So I'm gonna open up the 2 holes on my trunk. If you have the option to, I would weld the other one shut on your trunk just so no extra water gets in. But if I find a nice way to add a stud in here, I was looking at double-sided studs. So you have one side that's coarse, like this hardware, that threads in, and then you have a fine side, like this hardware, that would stick out, but there really isn't enough room to go through the thing. So we go ahead, open up the 2 end holes, and then we'll go ahead, install it, and move on to the front valence. And just like that, MTech 1 spoiler is installed. I did end up using a carbide bit just to move the holes over a little bit. So I opened them up just slightly so I can fit the carbide bit, and then moved it over, and it fits perfectly. And then as you can see here, you could see in that the holes are not perfectly aligned there. So what you could do is take a nice white marker and mark other holes if you want to, but I think overall this will be plenty, especially if you add a little bit of double-sided tape to it, just because the corners just a little bit could use just that little extra to hold it down. So you do paint match the inside, and it's ready to go. Well, you might want to just matte black paint the outside, because this is more of just like a black primer, but paint the inside, match your body panels, and it's ready to go. Now for installing the front valence, Garagistic does give you hardware which you could use and screw in the holes here, and then this part just matches right up to the bolt. But I went ahead and bought Classic Euro Parts MTech 1 kit, so it's a little bit different. Instead of these clips, which you usually use for the trim, for the corner trim and for the front here, you will be using this, which slides into the same spot, but you use a nut and washer to pull it in so that there's no extra gap. If you were to push these in, they won't secure all the way because of the difference of material on here, but you will use 2 of the front ones for the front trim piece right here. You'll use it to push in right there, which I will show you in a second. Easiest way of doing this is take the bumper off and put it on a chair or something so you can work your way around it. I am just gonna go ahead, leave it on, and make it work. Excuse the background noise, nothing I can do about it, but we'll start with the fog lights first. So you got your fog light and you got some hardware. And then obviously the wiring's simple too. Cut the ends off your OEM fog lights and just clip them together. A nice mounting point on the back here. You'll go ahead and slide the fog light in, press it against, and put your hardware through, and then put your washer, and then your nut. That's what it looks like. So let's get it mounted to the car. Start by taking your main screws off here. Obviously, if you're gonna remove the bumper from the car, you need to do this anyway, and they won't be there. Then we can go ahead and slap these on. There you go. And then you can go ahead and put the hardware back on. All right, now for the sides here, there is the trim that goes there. Typically, what you do is you slide this in here like that, and then you press it into the corner right here and it clips in. But since we now have this little bit of extra material, you're gonna want to take the stud right here and you'll do the same thing and slide it in here, and then you'll bolt it from the back. Now, you do want this to sit nice and flush. So if you wanted to, you can drill a hole here just to make sure that you're really pulling it back so everything lines up correctly. What doesn't line up is a little hole missing right here, so you will need to drill, mark that and drill. So what I would do is put a stud through here just so it's marked, and then really make sure, press and pull it back. You want to make sure that the rear lip lines up with the gap here, and then go ahead from the inside, drill out, as you'll need to put a stud here for this to clip in properly. You do not put one in here and one here. But if you're just using the screws that are provided, you could drill here and do one through here and you should be fine. Perfect, exactly where we need it. So go ahead, you'll take 2 of these and 2 washers and 2 nuts. We'll go ahead and get this installed. So there is a lip here. The Euro bumper trim should lay right on top. I might have to adjust this hole just slightly. Tuck this underneath. Whoop. Alright, so now that that's on, go ahead and take your washer and put it behind. And then you'll go ahead and tighten all that down. So besides a little bit of fitment, I just have to work on right here. I probably just have to open up the holes in here a little more so it can slide this way and it will fix the gap. But there you go, that is that side all installed. Now for the front here, you will grab your plate like normal, and you will grab the 2 included clips of these. And so normally they clip in one right here and one right there, but you might have some issues with the extra material here. So you just go ahead and put them in the center here, and you'll go ahead and make sure you remove your turn signals, as this stuff won't, you have to go, the turn signals are the last step of putting this on. And then you'll go ahead and slide these pieces in. That. just pop the centers in. And then you'll go ahead and tighten up the screws on each side. All right, there you go. We got that front piece installed now, and then obviously your license plate will cover that. And if you buy the Classic Euro Parts bumpers, they do come with 2 plugs right there, so you can mount your license plate no problem. I'm going to copy what I did on the passenger side to the driver's side, mark everything, and then get it all fitted up. And when it's done, we'll do a nice pan all the way around of the MTech 1 front bumper installed, and then we will finish up with the rear. There we go, all installed. I am missing the cover for the kit, but as you can see, it goes all the way around. I do have to, don't mind the gap, they're not bolted to the car. Do have to work on the fitment just in the back a little bit. I'll probably have to oval out the holes that I made just so I can slide this piece a little bit further back so it fits nice and flush here. Whoop. Now, so you can see that is in perfect line with this, so this just needs to come back just slightly. So I'll have to massage that, but other than that, it is nice and pretty. Now, as far as the tow hook goes, you can get a cover for it, and you can also get an extension so it comes out further. Classic Euro Parts does have it on their website, so go check it out. But other than that, front Garagistic MTech 1 kit installed. Let's go ahead, install the rear. Now the only thing I did forget on the front, as you can see, there's a little gap here and a little gap here. There are 2 more included in the kit for the one that goes right here and right here. Again, all you have to do is drill a little hole in the back, and pop it through, and you will be good. So for the rear, instead of doing it on the car, we are going to remove it. So go ahead and remove the bumper from the car and go put it on a table, or go put it on something that has support for the middle here and that you can let the edges hang, so that you can put that bumper on and then put the trim all the way around, which you'll be using a lot of those clips. The bolt clips, not the ones that just press in right here. Just like the front bumper, we have all of these plates right here, which will then go in there, and we'll do the same thing with the bolt behind it. But the difference is we will be attaching the rear piece right here, and what you do is you'll go ahead and slide these in all the way around. This one has all of the stamps for them, so you'll just lay that on top here, which I'll show you in a second, and then you'll put all of these through and then just go around and bolt it, and you'll be all done. Everything lines up super nicely, and lay it across here and bolt it down. So I'm gonna go ahead, time lapse this, and we'll be good to go. All right, so there we go. Got the trim on. Although we are missing a few holes, there's like 2 or 3 holes on this side and 2 or 3 holes on the other side that are missing. So I'm gonna have to flip this around, mark them, and drill them so I can get the rest of the hardware in. None of these are pressed yet, so I didn't tighten any of the center ones. You can see there's a small gap here, and there will be a little gap around. There is a you're supposed to have a little piece of rubber that goes all the way around here for the rear. They are NLA, but I was able, some guy in Europe started selling them, so I have one on the way. You guys will just have to wait for the final install once the car is painted to see that little strip. So I'm gonna go ahead, drill those extra holes, and then all you have to do is mount it back to the car and we'll be all done. Just so you can quickly see what I was doing in the time lapse, you have your stud that pokes through, you put your washer and your nut, and you tighten it down, and it's that simple. And as you can see here, that one's missing and that one's missing. So not a big deal, But to remove this gap right here, you're definitely going to need that. And on the actual kit itself, I believe it has one more opening right here. So you could drill that out on both sides. The Classic Hero Parts kit, you're left with 2 extras. So it won't be a bad idea to add another one in here to really help clamp this together. I got all the trim on. This gap right here is pretty good. And I think I could do a little better on this gap right here. But you are supposed to have a trim that goes on the top here that covers all the gaps all the way around. But my gaps are, I don't have any gaps until we get to here, which I feel like I could fix if I added, another one of these like right here and maybe one right there, and I could really get the corners fixed. But overall, it's really good. I spent a lot of time going back and forth trying to get the gaps even on both sides. So when putting in the corners, it looks like there's some from the kit, from the MTech 1 kit, there's a little bit of extra plastic that you're gonna have to trim right here so that this slides nice and in. It does interfere with this a little bit, so you might have to trim this as well. So you can see right in there, this extra plastic right here, which covers the little hook hole. So what I'd recommend is just taking a chunk out of this. You could honestly go all the way to the spot right here, or just barely before it. But I'm gonna go ahead and just carve a little chunk in there and we should be good to go. So I went ahead and just cut just like that, just so there's plenty of room for it to slide in here. Got both of them on. So the only thing left is, you could do a little trimming on the corner here just so it sits completely flush. As you could see from the back side here, this is hitting a little bit, so you could just trim just the slightest and probably just this corner right here, and it would probably do it. I'm going to leave it for now because this is like a perfect flush fitment, but I might change my mind and just barely trim that so it's nice and flush depending on how it sits on the car. So let's put it on the car and get the final shots. And just like that, rear is installed. I need to shift the brackets over just slightly to correct that fitment, but that fitment, boop, that fitment is perfect. That is it. Obviously, I don't have an exhaust in for that, but excuse the marks. Now it just needs to go off and get painted, and it'll be perfect. And then, like I said, for the front, you can get the extension or just a cap for the tow hook if you need it. You guys can get that on Classic Hero Parts website. Although the trunk isn't fully on from this angle, you have the wing and the rear bumper. Looks great. And then just imagine the car being about 3 inches lower because they're still on the wheel dolly, but woo! Car's coming together. This looks great. Let's get some video of the front again. Nice. Looks sweet. So that's it for today's video. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll be starting on the shaved bay with my plates that finally got in. If you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll include links to everything in the description. The MTech 1 kit, the Euro bumpers, and all the hardware you need. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, it's right here, @TheMassDriver. If you guys need any BMW parts, hit up my parts page, @RageAtParts. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.